So you want to make a giant wizard hat, but you don't know where to start. It's actually quite simple. And with this version, you can actually take it apart and fly with it. And to make this hat, you don't really need much. All you need is something for a solid foundation, which can be a construction hat or a 3D printed hat like I made. Next, you need like aluminum wire as well as some foam, so that way it actually creates like a filler to actually hold the hat up. And last but not least, you just need your fabric for the cover for your hat. And what's cool is with these covers, you can swap them out. Because if you can see on the back here, I have an invisible zipper. So right now I'm Ranni the Witch, but I could just swap this off and I could do a classic black wizard hat. In order to make the hat, you must first start on the inside part. And to do that, I'm going to take this cover off. Like I mentioned before, there's an invisible zipper back here. So all I'm going to do is unzip it and peel this fabric off in order to get to the inner section of it. So your wizard hat needs to start with a solid base. That way everything has something solid to connect to, and so it doesn't fall down and start to fold on your head. You could do a construction hat, or you can do what I opted for, which is a 3D print design. That way all the holes are pre-drilled, and it's a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more breathable, because you can actually sew this mesh top for it, which is actually adjustable too for depth. Just be aware you are going to wear a wig under this, so the wig is going to provide most of like the cushioning anyway. And also you got to account for that when you're sizing up your head. Regardless of which method you choose, the end result is all of these wires, you're going to end up drilling 2 holes where you're going to put the wires at. So if you notice on the top section here, 1 hole, 2 hole, and that way when you put the wire through it, it can't move around. It's a solid foundation. Same thing for the wire for the brim. Bring it a little closer. 1 hole, 2 hole, goes through the hole so that way it doesn't move around. Notice the end of the wires there kind of clips in, and I kind of wrapped it around here so that way it can't move around. And then for the wires, I just put duct tape on like the sharp end so it doesn't rip your fabric cover. Now that you have your solid foundation that fits your head correctly and it's comfortable, next is to choose the size of your wizard hat. This design in particular is 34 inches in diameter. That way I was able to keep the foam one piece, as well as I find this size convenient enough where it's big, but it doesn't bother people at conventions by hitting them, and I can get through tight spaces. And another perk of this design is that if you do need to go through a real tight space, you can take the sides, go like this, and it goes right back to its original shape. So when it comes to connecting this to the hat, all you're going to do is take your aluminum wiring, which doesn't need to be a thick gauge, it's actually pretty thin. You're going to wrap it around here, go through the 2 holes, and then you're just going to snake it through, like up, down, through the hat. Now this goes to the bottom a little bit, the top, and now I can't move left or right, spin around or anything. And then like I said before, I just use the duct tape to finish off the sharp ends so it doesn't cut your fabric on your hat. And once you have your hat fitting, the size you want, next is to decide how tall you want the hat to be. And all this is again the wiring, but it just goes diagonally across to give it volume. You don't need the whole hat to be filled with stuff. You just need something that's going to hold the outsides out, so that way it's able to keep its structure. And like I mentioned before, you go through the 2 holes, you just go up, crisscross to here, and you can kind of move it around, bunch it out, lower it, raise it to wherever you need to be to hold the shape that you want. There's a few things before we move on to the cover. Since this is wiring that you wrap around, you can actually take all this wiring off and take it out of the foam. That way you can actually package everything and fold it up to fit into your luggage when you're traveling or when you're flying. So that's one of the main benefits of this hat. The other thing is too, with the cover, this is Velcro. So this is the hook side, this is the loop side. All it is, you just go like that. And if you need it to be like looser, you just bring it down a little bit to adjust like the height of it. The other thing too that I've noticed with the cover, so I wrapped Velcro here. So all this is just a Velcro square. And then the fuzzy side connector just wraps around through all the wiring. This is to keep the cover from falling down. So I noticed the cover, because it's so long, it'll go to here, but it'll like kind of fall down around your head. This Velcro, you'll sew onto the cover as well, so Velcro on the cover, but it'll attach here so that way it stays out of your face. And one more thing, you want to designate which section is going to be the front just in case you add or customize your hat. For example, Ranni the Witch in particular, I added these loops on the left and the right. These loops, it's just I left some slack in the wiring. I bent it while I was wrapping it around. These loops come out of the fabric cover, so that way, when you attach, I call it like the crown section, it has a solid base for it to connect to. I just use fishing line to connect them, so that way the little crown doesn't rotate around. Now, like I mentioned before, here's that hook I was telling you about. It's sticking in between this top piece of fabric and the other cover right here. All I did was I used bias tape to kind of finish this so it doesn't fray or anything. And also for like the top section of the wizard hat, while the wire fills this section up, this little like point here, all I did was I put some stuffing in here, and it's not like in a bag, so that's on a separate section. Like I can literally put my hand up in the cover and I just pull the stuffing out if I want to, or put more into it. So that's all you need to do for the little tip right there. As for the cover, you do need to have like basic sewing understanding. This is a very simple design. I will say there's a seam here, nothing special about it. I did connect this to this section first, and then on the bottom here, I did use bias tape around the head. And then don't forget your little Velcro squares on the inside. Oh, let me get a little closer and get some light on it. Those little Velcro squares, so that way they connect to the your salt foundation, so that way it keeps the hat from falling into your face. But once you get this all done, this kind of finished, then you sew this bottom section to this top section. You want to put, I think it's good sides together, then you turn everything back out. And don't forget your invisible zipper on the back. And then also, if you're doing a Ranni the Witch one in particular, this design is by Sarah Spaceman. I believe it's on Redbubble. You'll order this and you just literally cut this out, and it's very simple. And then one more thing for Ranni the Witch in particular, her hat is more of a cone as opposed to this one's more like flat. So in order to get that more of that cone shape with your foam, you're going to want to cut a triangle out, so that way you can actually fold it down and the material has somewhere to go as you fold it down. But other than that, that's about it. This is probably the best design for cosplayers in my opinion, because you can travel with it and break it down. But also, don't forget the file for my base is in my thingiverse. And that's about it. I hope you guys make some pretty awesome hats with this. So thank you for watching.